The Master Grade SD Freedom Gundam. This kit is so good. If you don't have one, you might want to pick one up. But before that, let's get into the unboxing here. This kit is the first in the line of the Master Grade SD Freedom. There's actually 3 out now, including this barbatos, and the newest one was the Endless Waltz Wing Zero. But this kit was released in 2023. Bandai packed a lot into this little kit. But this box actually feels more like a Master Grade. It's thick, it's beefy. That does have an inner frame. I do love, you can see where it accents some of the things like the eyes, and man, they are gorgeous. You'll see them a lot more later in the video. So opening up this box here, you can see there is just a large amount of runners. It really is like a Master Grade, guys. As you can see, that Bandai definitely threw everything they could into this box. And I mean, this kit was actually about 50 bucks. And that's about the going price for this thing, so you definitely get your money's worth. Looking at this manual, again, you can see it's flipped. It's definitely like a Master Grade. Some more of the color detail, articulation that they throw into it, and some of the gimmicks that's also mentioned. But you flip through, you can see, and the amount of stickers that goes on this too is just crazy. Looking at Runner A here, this is that real metallic injection that is actually posted on there. It is gorgeous, and you'll see a lot more of that as we get into the further review. Runner B was white. Runner C is the nice red. More, this is actually a light gray, and then a couple more light grays that mix in for the accents. Some of the inner frame, that dark gray that pops through. Runner Up has duplicates of that dark gray as well, mixing into a little bit more. That's actually a very dark blue. It does leave a little bit of nub marks on there. The light blue actually cleans up extremely well and looks phenomenal. And here's a couple of effect parts that actually they mix in as well. There is a beam saber effect, but the toddler struck again, and I have no clue when to, but you do get 2 beam effects. Here is the completed kit, and man, does this thing look great. Here is against an SD and then a full-size 144 entry grade. Moving into the articulation, you can just see this thing is actually a really beefy kit for as small as it is. It's like a pit bull. It's a pit bull of the Gundam world. I absolutely love this, but the head articulation has almost a full 360 spin. It cannot do the owl look, unfortunately, guys. Shoulder details, absolutely gorgeous. Can swing forwards, pivot. The actual skirts on the front pop, they do move a little bit. And then you have a gimmick right there in the thruster that pops up on the red. You have a full amount of clearance, surprisingly, with the arm, even with that backpack back there. 360 spin at the upper bicep and a nice double bend at the arm. You can see just gorgeous. The ball joint on the wrist there, and then of course the fingers are actually semi-individually articulated. So the trigger finger and the thumb are individual. The 3 fingers below are actually all connected, so they kind of move together. Moving into the ab crunch there, looks absolutely gorgeous, very deep. However, I will say if you're not careful, the middle section will pop off. It just kind of does that, both right here at the peg itself, and then the actual middle of the torso, kind of the way it's set up on a ball joint, slotting into a connector hip, almost like a hip joint. It can pop out too. It didn't do it this part right here, but it has happened a couple of times. Moving into these huge side skirts with the rail guns. Nice gimmick there too. When you open it up, it actually moves the rear piece as well. I mean, just the amount they put into this thing, I absolutely love it. Again, it's very reminiscent of the 2.0 Freedom Gundam. So if you've built that, I definitely believe that they focused a lot of this kit from those gimmicks right there. You can see that the beam saber hilts have that connector point, and you'll see more of that once we get into the actual accessories review. You can see right here the chest says it slides out. It does and it doesn't. I mean, it can slide out some where it stays in, but I don't feel like that. You can see the side skirts swing back, and then there is a hip drop on this model as well. I mean, I was thoroughly impressed with that. So you do have some extension in the legs for more articulation, more action poses, and I absolutely love it. A sliding gimmick right there in the upper joint. Again, 2.0 reminiscent. Of course, with the legs all the way up on the hip joint, there is blockage with the movement of these legs. So I mean, expect that a little bit. Just drop them down, and it'll make actually the kit look a little bit bigger. So once you get them down, it is a little tight at first. I had to free it up a little bit. I actually used a pair of tweezers. I had to pop it in there use a pair of tweezers just to actually kind of pull it down, because it kept wanting to separate the leg but not actually come down. So I got it down after a second, and then it seems to be more freed up, so maybe it's just caught up from the build. But you can see there a nice bend in that knee. It is absolutely gorgeous. It's actually a double bend there as well. Then the knee cover itself has that sliding gimmick that exposes that beautiful metallic injection. It just makes that kit even that much better. Moving into the feet, there is a lot of articulation. Of course, the toe actually bends up separate from the foot. There is a solid bend upwards with it, side to side, good rotation. Sub movement in that skirt as well to allow for that strong posing. Moving into this backpack, the Freedom backpack can be a little bit of a headache when you're trying to pose it to get the right spots and make sure everything, if you're like me, a little bit OCD and trying to make sure everything is consistent. But you can see just how many pieces open up on this thing. Definitely makes it backpack heavy, so expect to use a base. I was able to pose this on my high grade base, though it is a little heavy for it, so action base, you may want to use a master grade. You can see that the wings have just a ton of articulation points and a couple of nice hidden gimmicks in there. Starting with these plasma beam cannons, they are just, you can put them in any kind of pose. The way it's set up is very nice on moving them around to allow for that over the shoulder shot. And then also you can twist it around however you want, so there's a lot of different angles you can add to it. They do catch those large V fins, so you do have to be a little bit cautious of that. Shout out to my boy Hunter for referencing that on the... I appreciate your input, man. So moving into these wings right there, you can see just a little bit more of the moving parts that come into this kit. It's just crazy. Also, I feel like an idiot. I'm going to share a little bit of a stupid story here, but I could not find this. Initially, when I built this up, it was a live stream, so I was kind of building it quickly. That's the peg hole for the action base. Moving into the accessories, you can see that we have this beautiful shield here. Again, great color separation on this. It's very much like a master grade. It's got that beefy thickness like a master grade. Articulation points, you have that nice rotation for attachment, and then of course the shield handle that pops out itself. You can see it just wraps right around the arm there. It pegs into a small square hole on the back side of his elbow. Moving into that beam rifle, it is nice. I love that white, that blue that pops out with that dark gray. Articulation point, there is one moving point at the handle. It moves side to side. And I will also make note that the scope collar itself is not a decal. It is actually a clear blue that's molded that slides right in there perfectly. It does have a feature where it pegs into the hand for additional support, and then a separate peg to store it on the back side of his rear skirt there. You can see it slots in nicely, and with the backpack on, it doesn't cause any kind of blockage either. I guess a little bit when you're moving it down, if you're trying to move the wings too far down, but for the most part, it does not cause blockage. Same thing with the beam saber hilts. They have a small peg that sits firmly into the hand and then sits nicely into it. One thing that I love about the seed kits is they have that beam saber that you can connect into it, makes a double-sided beam saber. And then storage on this beam saber hilt as well. How many times can I say beam saber in one sentence? Is on right there on the skirt. It actually pegs in there. That can be a little difficult to line up. So final thoughts on this kit. It is just an amazing kit. Bandai really went outside the box to start this SD line, and they did a phenomenal job with it. There's so many amazing things. I love the details that they put in there with that metallic injection. And then the eyes as well is just not a sticker decal. It's actually a clear plastic. Same with accents on the wings there. But bravo, Bandai. Now just a couple of quick things to reference as a couple points, lowlights I would say, is the wings here, that dark blue does leave nubs, and then they're also a little flimsy. I wish I seen water slides for those stickers. And then the plasma beam rifles, again, that V-fin kind of gets in the way with that. So just be cautious when posing. Outside of that, I absolutely love this kit. There was, again, the minor things that was not, in my opinion, really affects this kit at all. Just a couple of things to be aware of. But guys, I really appreciate you watching and taking the time today. Make sure you check out the next video that's recommended. And until next time, love.